It is October 28th, and I just watched the Five Nights at Freddy's movie. As you can tell by the sound of my voice, it is very late right now. Now, I did watch this on Peacock. Lord knows I was not going to go into the theaters to sit next to a bunch of snot-nosed children who wanted to see Five Nights at Freddy's live. So I just watched this at home, and I won't lie, I'm glad that I did. First things first, let's talk about the cast. They got Josh Hutcherson, which he's actually one of my favorite actors. I was pleasantly surprised to see that he was going to be the main for this movie. He delivered a good acting performance along with his co-stars. Listen, I'm not going to sit here and act like this was an Oscar award-winning film here that we're talking about. We're talking about Five Nights at Freddy's. I was actually surprised that they were able to do with the script what they were able to do, considering that the gameplay for Five Nights at Freddy's is just sitting and watching cameras. I can definitely see that they tried with the script here. They had this whole dream narrative that kept popping into the film, and for the first half of the movie I think it worked effectively, but after like the third night of the guy working at Freddy Fazbear's, it was just like, oh, when are we gonna get along with it, fam? The movie played like, oh, dream sequence, talking, dream sequence, talking, dream sequence, etc., etc. It was just like, oh man, this is slow. It's sluggish within the center half of the film. Again, it's hard to hold them against this, considering the whole idea of spending 5 nights at this place doesn't exactly lend it to being an action-packed 5 nights within reality. The first time an animatronic tries to attack you, you're just going to leave the job. That's always how it's been, but you know, they had to stretch it out for the film runtime. And because of that, the animatronics don't really do anything bad for like the majority of the film. I mean, there was an entire sequence where they were building a fort. Like for a solid 10 minutes, they were building a fort, and I was watching it like, is this really what I came here to see? Like, what am I watching right now? Just a lot of time spent on character development that ultimately doesn't really mean a whole lot at the end of the day. The final act of the film was really just corny. That's the best way I can describe it. Oh God. I mean, spoiler alert, the cop lady was the daughter of William Afton, and William Afton was the person who was working at the Staff Force place. What? It's just mid. It's what I like to call Blumhouse writing. Now, if you don't know what Blumhouse is the producers and basically the creators behind this film. Blumhouse specializes on a special type of movie making. It's called budget movie making. Movie making on a budget. Now, don't get me wrong, Blumhouse has some bangers in their catalog, but they are also notoriously known for taking jobs like this one that are just money-grabbing jobs, you know, that they can just milk for money for a small cost. Off the top of my head, I count 4 different shoot locations for this movie, and I barely count the woods one because you can find woods like that almost anywhere in America. The point I'm trying to make is they use the smallest amount of resources possible to save money while also making the biggest amount of profit off of the title that they're working on. What it turns into is a poorly written script, a generally okay acting squad. I mean, I think Josh did what he needed to do. The rest were just okay. Regardless, moving on from those points, I think the animatronics looked cool. There are certain shots where they look perfect, actually, and I don't use that word lightly. They look exactly how I would like them to look in a movie. And then there are certain shots that are like, it looks a little bit goofy, but overall I wasn't mad about how the animatronics looked or how the location looked at all. The movie itself is not exactly scary. I don't think you're gonna leave the theater afraid, but I mean, I don't hold that against them. This is mainly a children's film for the most part. Like, there's murder and gore, but they know that this movie is geared towards children still. There's some creepy imagery, and that's really as far as the spooks go. Overall, I'm not gonna lie, this movie could have been significantly shorter. The whole middle half is honestly boring and literally had me checking my watch. I am very glad I didn't pay money to go to the theater to watch this, and if I'm gonna be honest, you don't really need to either. Get the Peacock subscription. I don't know how much, what is that, $15 $7 and go ahead and watch it on your spare time while you do anything else. If you don't already know, my scale is 0 to 10 on how I rate things, 0 being the best and 10 being the worst. And I have to say, I'm gonna give this one a 7. You know, I'm not gonna lie, it just wasn't. I'm never gonna watch it again. I'm probably not gonna think about it again. The best part of the film was seeing Corey Kenshin in it.
Oh my goodness!
And that's all. It's way too late to be thinking about this movie any more than I'm required to contractually, so I'm out of here. This just made me want to play the game. Maybe that's the main reason for this, is to funnel more sales into the game, huh? I guess we can choose to believe that. Anyways, I'm out. I'm gone. You're never gonna hear from me again, and you know, this is all the fade out, so it doesn't even really matter what I'm saying.